What's up, y'all? It's the Full Toe here with a quick little update on �々𝘈𝘕 Way of the Sword, uh, made by Capcom. I was already planning on getting this game from the jump, right? But now, not only am I going to get this, I am going to have to play this for 3 days straight until Halloween releases asymmetrical game, because apparently Capcom is, bro, every time they share something with this, seems like they are putting more effort on it than you would think. Apparently this game is going to be 20 hours long to clear, and I think that's just a flat playthrough, like maybe on a regular difficulty story mode. That does not even account in probably action or maybe a hard difficulty too, and maybe extra content. But this rate just flat, right? This Pragmata, apparently I haven't finished it yet, but it's 10 to 12 hours, and then extra content, hard difficulty, lunatic and all that. 10 to 12 hours and extra, right? Plus, Resident Evil Requiem is 10 to 16 hours. I haven't finished it yet either, but I have to. And of course, you could do, extra bonus and stuff for the harder difficulty, Insanity, 18 to 25 hours. That's crazy for this to be this long. And if y'all know how Capcom makes their games, especially now, they don't put a lot of fluff in their stuff. So that's going to be, and the story is looking really good. It's going to be very engaging from start to finish. It's not just going to be it's not going to be a lot of fluff and bullshit. It seems like it's really going to be like a real live one, a unique story, kind of like the old samurai movies, but with a 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕 twist. But let's go over here to this article. If this is true, man, this game is gonna be much more bigger than anybody has thought. Cause I didn't expect it to be that just flat 20 hours. That is lengthy. Like this is not gonna be no quick game at all. You gonna have to learn some stuff. Okay, 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕 Way of the Sword offers approximately 20 hours of gameplay to complete. This interview explores the game's focus on the enjoyment and accessibility of its sword fighting action by Professor 𝘚𝘠𝘕𝘕. Okay. With the release date of Capcom's latest sword fighting action game, 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕 Way of the Sword, fast approaching on September 4th, 2026, we had the opportunity to play a demo version of the game and speak with the developers during a media tour in Kyoto. The setting of the game, here's what we learned. During the media tour, we were giving a guided tour of famous locations featured in the film, including Koshimizu their temple, along with valuable insights. Details of the tour will be released at a later date. On the stage of Koshimizu Temple, where the gamer was sacrificing the humans, and you fight Musashi's rival, Sasaki Ganryu. What kind of a game is 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕 Way of the Sword? Karawaki. To put it simply, it's a sword fighting action game that Capcom proudly presents. I like that. You can fully enjoy the satisfying feeling of parrying and deflecting, as well as the signature flash strike, a counter technique that inflicts fatal damage by slashing just before being hit by enemy attack. In this game, it appears under the name Parry. So it's a game that's packed with all the fun of action games, right? Karawaki, yes, I've gotten examples of defensive actions like parrying and deflecting. But it's not just a battle where you wait for the enemy to move. There's also the fun of taking the offensive. You can parry and deflect immediately, even while attacking, resulting in a fast-paced and unique sword fighting action. 𝘰𝘂. From the early stages of development, we focus on the question, what kind of sword fighting action game does Capcom, a company known for its action-oriented games, want to create? Of course, we also value elements that characterize the 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕 IP, such as the one-hit kill, soul absorption, techniques, but given the gap since the previous game, we also took on various challenges. How would you rate it as an introductory title for people who are new to the series? Since this is the first new installment in 20 years, we designed it with the assumption that many people will be experiencing it for the first time. There are no story connections to previous works, making it a very accessible game. However, we have included elements that have made fans of the 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕 series smile, so we hope you will pay attention to the characters, the dialogue, and movements of the demons and their designs. Basically, like, it's one of them we've seen is Osric, not Osric, 𝘗𝘠𝘰𝘳, who is like an ancestor of Osric from 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕 Warlord. It's that boss, the first boss, really tough. I'd be happy if people picked it up with that feeling that Capcom has released a new action game. If this game sparks your interest in 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕, there are now remastered versions available, so please try those out and see how they differ from this game. The one flash technique, a characteristic of the 𝘠𝘠𝘈𝘕 series, is easy to use against weaker enemies, but I felt it was too risky in boss battles. How should it be used? The flash strike is a high-risk, high-reward action, as a successful strike deals fatal damage and yields many souls that can be used for healing and strengthening. Initially, it won't deal much damage to bosses, but in this game, you can increase your damage as you level up. However, the level of risk remains the same. Whether or not you increase the damage of the flash strike and aim for it is up to your playstyle. Among onimusha fans, there are some who say, I'm only going to aim for flash strikes. So we made sure to ensure that it is satisfying and rewarding. It takes a lot of skill to do that, especially on the hard difficulty. Theoretically, is it possible to target all attacks, even those of a boss, with a single flash? Except for a few special techniques, you can basically counteract with a single slash. By special techniques, do you mean grappling techniques? I was impressed that you could aim for a special counterattack called grab counter. Grabbing attacks are another type of attack that you can't counter with a single strike. As you said, you can counter with a grab of your own. However, it requires pressing the dodge button at the right time to succeed, so this also carries a risk. It's like in the fighting games, like Virtua Fighter, grabs are like really the most powerful form of attacks because you can't just block those, right? You have to either try to evade it or you have to, break the grab, which is really not easy at first. You have to really keep trying. It's so fast, but like if you can break the grab consistently, you can leave the opponent vulnerable. But I like how they do it in here because I played the demo and it was like, them grabs, I was getting grabbed a lot by Sasaki. Them grabs hurt and you can't just avoid them regularly. So you have to counter it or get out the way or you're going to take a lot of damage. I use parrying a lot in the demo version, so I was surprised at first that I couldn't use it, but the staff told me that I could learn it quickly now that the training elements have finally been revealed in this playtest. Could you tell us the intention behind incorporating actions like parrying into the training elements? This game features a wide variety of actions, so the demo is designed to give players a sneak peek. In the full game, we've structured it so that players can learn them one by one as they play. At the very beginning of the main game, Musashi can't even use the power of a demon, which makes sense. What I've been saying, like they're going for a semi-realistic version of onimusha for this one. Like you ain't just gonna start off like obviously you can't use all these powers of the onimusha because it doesn't make sense. He's still learning and he probably hasn't got a gauntlet yet before you can really fight like that. Parrying is something you'll really learn, inevitably learn as you progress. We incorporate it into the character development system primarily because we want players to gradually become familiar with the game's actions. In fact, we saw feedback on the demo that there was too much to do, but in the full game, the options increase smoothly, so you should be able to master them easily. Incidentally, we've also prepared more content than previous onimusha titles. Even just playing through normally will take at least 20 hours to complete. Normally, that's just 20 hours flat. That's a solid basis. Like for Capcom, if y'all know how y'all familiar with Capcom, how they make their games, especially these type of games where this story and they mix it with gameplay. They don't put a lot of fluff in like that. Like it's gonna be like a lot of stuff that's gonna be like very well paced to the end. And plus, like I said, extra difficulties probably, extra modes, some other stuff you can do, and it's a semi-open linear world. Like I didn't think this was gonna be. Like I kind of thought it would be longer than Pragmatic, even though I haven't finished it yet, and people were saying it was a little bit shorter than they thought. I didn't think it was gonna be longer than Requiem though. Like that's like off just flat long. Like that's pretty substantial content, man, for something like that. Like that's pretty good for Capcom. Therefore, we designed it so that players can slowly learn various actions and elements. 20 hours is a huge amount of content compared to previous titles. Yes, the old onimusha was actually very short, especially if you mastered it fast. Like I beat the first onimusha like it's like a couple of hours, 6, 7, 8. Like it's very short. Like it's hard, but once you get onto it, like they're not very long games. Kind of like the old Resident Evil games somewhat, but the old Resident Evil games been a little bit longer because of more puzzles and other stuff. It's a structure basically linear, a single path. Initially, the gameplay is linear, but as you progress, you'll encounter wide linear sections where the player chooses how to proceed within a large map. That's pretty different for onimusha too. Like the Kyoto section that we got to experience. That's right, you can explore the larger city and also enjoy side quests and battles against new bosses. Character development is in the form of a skill tree. Earlier, we talked about the order in which skills are acquired, but it is designed so that everything can be unlocked in a single playthrough. Yes, you can unlock everything. The number of materials needed to unlock things is limited in the game, but you can collect them by the time you reach the ending and unlock all the abilities. As a side note, you can defeat bosses even without filling out the entire skill tree. There are basically no elements that make it impossible to defeat bosses or progress without a specific ability. So feel free to develop your abilities as you like. That's good because it means it's no gates. Like it's no gatekeeping. Right, like if you're skilled enough, you could probably beat. I know somebody gonna do it. Right, they're gonna beat these bosses probably with no really any upgrades instead of the most basic stuff and pull it off somehow, which takes a lot. But I haven't played a lot of Souls games. I'm not gonna lie, so I don't have that experience that they have. But I'm definitely pretty good in with boss fights. Like I got my ass handed to me by Sasaki in the demo. on action. He was very tough, I'm not gonna lie. And I know it's gonna be even tougher bosses in the main game. So I'm gonna struggle a lot, but maybe I can master it. I want to master this one. This is that game. This would be probably be the one where I really can probably master this type of gameplay. But it's nothing like a Souls like though. This is just way more authentic. Like I'm telling you, like I see that vision. By the way, are there any new difficulty levels that appear after clearing the game? Look. Oh, this the big one. No comment for now. They gonna add something, man. It's probably gonna be something like fucking Onimusha Hell or some shit. Like they gonna have something like that. I hope they do like a mercenaries type of mode for this where you could play as Sasaki. That would be awesome. Or a DLC story expansion, maybe. By the way, what considerations have been made for players who are new to the series or who are not good at action games? First, let's talk about the difference in difficulty. We offer 2 modes, action and swordplay. With, well, it was story mode. Maybe they changed it. I think it's story still, just a little thing here. With action being easier to complete. Well, action is not. Action is harder. It's probably a little translation error. Also, we understand that those who aren't good at action games might get confused about what the correct strategy is. So we've included a button guide function in action. The button guide is turned on by default. Yeah, when they say action, just think they talking about story and like action is action. It's just a translation error. So but it's 2 difficulties like pragmata, but I think you're gonna get a bonus one at the end. I wonder what they're gonna call it. So if you follow the on-screen instructions such as pressing this button when a grab attack comes, you should be able to complete the game. If you find a little difficult, you can turn the button guide to help with the action. You can customize the gameplay to your liking so everyone can enjoy a challenging and fun so-fi experience. That's good. It's good for accessibility for everybody who wants to play. Some ain't gonna have reflexes as sharp as others, so they gotta tailor to that too. You don't want to feel like you can't enjoy the game. To put it extremely, is it possible to clear the game even if you just mash the buttons? Simply matching buttons might not be enough. I appreciate it if you also take a look at the button guide. So even, with the easiest difficulty, you can't just smash the win. Obviously, you can tell how Onimusha is. Like every enemy is different. The regular enemies are different. The elite enemies are different. The boss fights are definitely going to be like you're not going to be able to do that even on easy. There's no way they're going to pummel you no matter what if you take it carelessly. I think even casual players will be able to perform defensive actions. Parrying is a button input that also involves blocking. So even if you fail, there's no risk and the guard is still successful. In that sense, it's an action game that's easy for people who aren't good at action games to pick it up. In addition, the tutorial is carefully made, so as I mentioned earlier, you can learn the action step by step. Furthermore, we prepare areas where you can practice the action elements and rematch tough enemies, bosses. So I especially want people who aren't good at action games to try it out. I want them to experience the fun of action games. And yeah, I was watching they said like it's not just training either. Like if you complete these certain objectives too, you get more bonuses. Like I heard if you beat bosses, you can fight bosses again, and you beat them, you get extra costumes and other stuff. It's arena. It's an arena basically, which is I didn't expect that, but I don't know if that's like, I think they still have the outer realm in the game to unlock the stronger weapons, but that could be like a subsidiary of it. I don't know. We got to see more. That's right. In the growth system, if you prioritize the physical strength development aspect, it might make more progress easier. On the other hand, those who are confident in their skills can prioritize strengthening the action aspects. I see. So the system is designed to accommodate a wide range of players. It's like a pretty good shot. The game is designed so that once you master the basics of attacking while guarding, you can gradually learn the rest. The difficulty increases gradually. Like, how Capcom do. They might put something like dynamic difficulty in here, but obviously each encounter is going to vary. It's not all going to be just like the old game structured in like one difficulty and that's it. No, they all going to have different. It's going to be different scenarios that you're going to have. It's going to be harder, much harder than you would think, even in the easy difficulty. But we sprinkled in satisfying moments that will make you want to try again and again without giving up. So even if you lose, you should think, I'll try again. Maybe I can win next time. I like that. Yeah, don't give up. Furthermore, in games where you are sent back to the previous stage after being defeated by the boss, those who are not good at action games tend to feel that the time spent restarting is longer than the time spent fighting. In this game, there is no death penalty, and you can try again immediately after being defeated. You will be able to feel the sense of improvement with each challenge. Kind of makes sense because he is an Onimusha as well, for real. Death is not the end. Kind of like T'Challa Wakanda, death is not the end in my culture. The Nintendo Switch 2 also supports controls for swinging the sword in handheld mode with Joy-Con 2, right? From what I played so far, it feels just as good as the PS5 version. But, it's going to be 30 FPS, not 60. Game, the RE engine is very optimized, but of course, it still is it's a little resource heavy because it has to be. I mean, look how good it looks. What's going on? I think it turned out so well that you might not even notice the difference, to be honest. We started working on the Nintendo Switch 2 version partway through development, However, based on the feel of the prototype, I thought we can do this. If we're being picky, there are differences in the image quality and frame rate. The Nintendo Switch 2 version runs at 30 FPS. Yep. While the others run at 60 FPS or higher. I'm on PC, so get a little 60, a little bit more. I have the recommended specs, but I think you'll be able to fully enjoy the action in both versions. The development staff and I often talked about how easy it was to play in the handheld mode. The fact that you can play it comfortably even while laying down, simply amazing. This is very in-depth too, very in-depth article. By the way, does the damage change depending on how you swing the sword with Joy-Con too? There are no such differences. If you find it a little difficult to react with the swings, you can also input simultaneously with the button so you can switch between them and depending on your mood. The unique fun of changing how you slash by swinging the Joy-Con to vertically and horizontally is an appeal that other hardware doesn't have. In the demo, we visited a rather unusual space called the Demon's Hidden Village. Could you tell us about the concept and design of this place? The Oni Hidden Village is a place created by the Oni clan to serve as a base for defeating the Genma. It is a space invisible to humans, and Musashi can only perceive it by using one of the Oni's powers, Eye Awakening. In the story, the Genma have already invaded. There are mechanisms that are activated by bows and arrows, which were also prepared by the Oni clan to fight against the Genma. The structure is designed to protect the place where the Oni clan is enshrined, preventing the Genma from going further inside. And I see you can also save various civilians, NPCs, from getting killed actually from the Genma. Like the old games too. You could save certain people, but it's probably going to be more in-depth here because it's going to be a lot of people besides yourself. In terms of design, one of the themes is kintsugi, a unique Japanese repair technique. The space is designed to look like as if broken things in a desolate world are being repaired with kintsugi, expressing the world of Oni while incorporating a Japanese aesthetic. You mentioned the bow and arrow gimmick, but since it's a fantasy setting, is the level design different from others? That's right. In the Demon's Hidden Village, we intentionally place traps that require you to think a little bit before you can progress, rather than just slashing enemies to move forward. You can even drop floating rocks on enemies, so it's not exactly a puzzle, but it's an area with lots of traps and mechanisms. Could you tell us about the visuals and game design of the boss, 𝘗𝘓𝘗, who is an ode to Osric from Warlords, Onimusha Warlords, who appears here? The design is a homage, like right here. The design is a homage to the character Osric from the first Onimusha game. He's a gluttonous demon, gluttony, one of the 7 deadly sins, and his personality is reflected in the battle mechanics, such as how his stomach swells up when he eats those, and how cutting his stomach causes him to lose balance. Very, very gory and disgusting, but makes sense. Makes sense. Like I said, semi-realistic, man. Incidentally, there are many mummified monks on the field, and when Otsubara swings his weapon, the mummified monks sometimes stick to it. Otsubara eats in the pile. Wow. His movements are rather crude, and his weapon is large, so many people might find him easier to fight than Sasaki Ganryu, who you can fight in the demo version. His attacks are spectacular, so getting hit by them is quite painful. Anyway, we aim to create an enemy that not only has the scale of a demon that's different from humans, but also possesses a unique character. Now, see, this is where, like, okay, in a demo, right, somebody's playing on story. Sasaki Ganryu probably would be more easy. I mean, you do have access to abilities you probably wouldn't have at that time either, but like on story mode, you probably would go through him faster, right? Because he ain't gonna deal as much damage and be as aggressive. But for a boss like this, I feel on the story mode difficulty, he's still gonna hit hard somewhat. So you can't just spam him. He has hyper armor. You can't just spam him, or you will die fast too. Though like different bosses vary in that ways where some you probably can get away with that, but some like this, obviously you can't. Anyway, we aim to create an enemy that not only has the scale of a demon that's different from humans. I like that. But also possess a unique character. Like I said, they put a lot of work in this. Then you think like they bring this back strong, but like I could not see myself not giving this a full playthrough, which I will. I felt that the pressure of the potentially having your soul devoured first creates a new dynamic in Musashi soul absorption. Are there similar mechanics to other enemies as well? Yeah, I like that they get in a rage state, powers them up. Various bosses. It seems like the bosses are definitely going to be a really big highlight of it in the story, like obviously gameplay, but it's like the bosses here are all going to like leave an impression on you more than most. Like they're not just throwaway at all. Like they really have a lot to them. Yes, the element of enemies consuming souls and changing their actions, such as becoming stronger, transforming their weapons, or gaining access to wider range of techniques also appears with other enemies. And if it is an extra difficulty, which I think there will be, that's going to get amped up even more. Like you probably even the most experienced players will struggle with that. I hope so. I hope it's so difficult that they can't just make it. They can't just go do that shit like they usually do. That's an element that wasn't in previous Onimusha series. Yeah, it wasn't. except in Genma Onimusha, where you could, it's these green souls, they probably was human souls. If Samanosuke doesn't get them to turn into his Onimusha form or get a little invincible, not really Onimusha form, get a little like invincible, get health back, they would suck them up and get stronger, right? And they would actually, their models would change a little bit and like show like more demonic, so to say. That's right. This is one of the ways we modernized the essence of Onimusha. The first prototype we created was 𝘗𝘠𝘈. So it's a demon I'm particularly attached to, as I created while thinking about what kind of Onimusha would be a new Onimusha that engages in the Soda no negotiation. This is such a funny translation somewhat. Up until now, Onimusha had an image of the protagonist silently cutting out enemies, the strong but silent type. They do talk in cutscenes sometimes, though, Jubei and Samanosuke. And Demon Siege, Samanosuke and Jacques, they do talk a little bit more, but there's a lot of interaction with the beautiful demon inside the gauntlet, which in itself was refreshing. The idea of the gauntlets talking was also an element that was present from a fairly early stage. When creating the character of Miyamoto Musashi, I thought that in his youth, he would be so engrossed in swordsmanship that he would be ignorant of other things. That makes sense, right? Nothing matters but the blade, the way of the sword, right? In his later years, however, he would become a person who could even write calligraphy. Therefore, I thought it was necessary to have someone who is knowledgeable and could teach him about Kyoto, demons, and phantoms through dialogue. That's how the dialogue with the beautiful demon woman was born. By the way, the name Shizuka Gozen is casually mentioned as the beautiful demon woman. What's that about? No comment on this either. I don't want to spoil the story. Wait, I'm thinking Shizuka Gozen kind of sounds like Chie's persona somewhat. But yeah, that's it right there. It's a pretty long article actually. But yeah, man, it seems like they're really going in on this more than we thought, man. I'm very interested in this. I'm not gonna lie. Like they really seem to surpass even my expectations, man. I knew they was gonna bring it back with a big bang. So I was already gonna get this, but yeah, I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna have to play this straight, nothing else until Halloween release because it's pretty long. It's gonna be in depth and I'm trying to master it. So whoever's interested, man, I think we got another potential game of the year right here. I feel like, man, it might even surpass Pragmata and maybe even Requiem because of how much they really putting into this. Like, this seems like nothing else. Like, even though people like to compare this to all these Souls games, I don't think this is nothing like anything else. Like, I think this is really Capcom's own unique flair, and they've been on this way before. Like Sega, they are the legacy. They are the proprietors. They give people these ideas and they bringing this back in their own way, and I really am impressed. So, yeah, I'm just happy to have 3 potential game of the years on my channel. You know what I'm saying? Like Requiem, Resident Evil, Requiem, Pragmata, and Onimusha Way to Sword, bro. Yeah, man, this was my goal from the beginning. But I hope you enjoyed. It's pretty long. Whoever watched, thank you. And yes, if you're interested in this, be on the lookout because next month I will be playing this and showcasing this in a very good quality. Boss fights, everything. I already got Sasaki Ganryu on my channel, the demo. So if you're interested, check that out, and I'll link them here and all that. You probably see them. So thank you for watching. The Fool is out.